Players all over the world have been looting and stealing in Sea of Thieves for nearly 6 years now. During that time, there has been exactly one piece of feedback that remains the most controversial and common concern whenever the game is mentioned anywhere online. It's something Rare has said multiple times they'd never ever do. But here we are today, and you've clicked on this video to hear about the new mode in Sea of Thieves called Safer Seas. In this video, we're not only going to cover the differences from the main mode, now called High Seas, but I'm going to tell you some things you really should know first before diving in that the devs would never actually say out loud, so be sure to stick around. Before we dive deeper into both modes, here's a quick reference on which you should start with. If you're only interested in PvE and not PvP, stick to Safer Seas. Obviously, if PvP is the main reason you'll be playing, stick to High Seas and be sure to check out PvP tips here on YouTube first. Now, if you're interested in both the entire experience, I really think you should just dive right into High Seas after watching guides here on YouTube. Let me explain. Until now, Sea of Thieves has always been a PvPvE sandbox exclusively. Player interaction was a core component to the experience and gameplay loop. With this update, that remains unchanged. Rather than alter this formula, Rare has opted to instead restrict the experiences available within Safer Seas. Basically, you're getting a watered down version of the game in exchange for a private, one crew only, no PvP lobby. For many, this is all they've ever wanted from Sea of Thieves. An open world to play pirate with their friends and family without the threat of other players, or just by themselves while doing some tall tales. So how exactly does Safer Seas compare to High Seas? Let's break it down. First, I just want to clarify that your save data is shared across both modes. You can hop into Safer Seas at any time or jump back to the full experience in High Seas. So, the biggest difference between the two modes is that you earn gold and reputation 70% slower in this new PvE only version. Safer Seas also doesn't allow emissaries, which typically provide up to 2.5 times the gold and rep while selling loot. This 70% nerf without bonuses is, needless to say, a very, very slow progression. If earning gold and leveling up factions to hit Pirate Legend is important to you, then Safer Seas might not be a good option. Speaking of Pirate Legend, you will be unable to achieve this accolade by hitting rank 50 in 3 factions, because in Safer Seas, your faction rep is capped at level 40. In fact, the PL faction Athena's Fortune, as well as the PvP faction, Reaper's Bones, aren't even in this new mode at all, nor the Reaper chest found across the world, and this is just the beginning. Also absent in Safer Seas is the PvP Hourglass factions, obviously, and the ability to sail in a guild or with a captain ship. Guilds are self-explanatory, but being unable to captain a ship means you cannot name your vessel, save cosmetics, earn ship progress, buy extra supplies from the shipwright, and most notably, use the Sovereign Tent. The Sovereigns allow captains to turn all their loot in at one spot on the outpost. So, if you opt out of PvP, you'll instead be running it all over to each tent individually. Lastly, not included in Safer Seas are live events such as Double Gold and Rep, the Siren Song PvP Voyage, Fort of Fortune World Event, the Fort of the Damned player-activated World Event, and the coveted Chest of Fortune. All of these will remain exclusive to the main mode, High Seas. Now, while that's the laundry list of missing features in the new non-PvP mode, there's something more nefarious at play. Originally, just by downloading Sea of Thieves, you were signing a metaphorical contract agreeing to PvP at any moment, forcing players to learn on the fly in a world with much higher skilled players. Even though there's no stat advantages like strength or dexterity in this game, the skill gap between new and veteran players is extremely apparent. Rare hopes that Safer Seas will be an onboarding for newer players to prepare them for the PvP shared world of High Seas. Unfortunately, this is just incorrect. While you will learn all about how PvE works, your strategies and gameplay behaviors will go completely unchecked by other players for potentially hundreds of hours. For example, one of the golden rules of Sea of Thieves is not to drop your anchor at islands, but to instead roll up your sails and come to a full stop. This way, you can make a quick getaway if players run up on you. Or how to efficiently maintain your sail angles for maximum speed. Because how else would you notice you weren't going fast enough without being chased by a bloodthirsty crew trying to steal all of your loot? These are mechanics you only learn through experiences with other players. That, or watching the plethora of YouTube guides beforehand, which, hey, lucky for you, my entire channel is dedicated to specifically PvP tips, with a 48 video playlist of short, to-the-point guides for any situation you would ever need to know. I recommend you watch my Starting Sea of Thieves in 2023 guide, which is still very relevant today, to get caught up. Link is in the description. Back to my point, however, those who don't watch streamers or guides will not be properly prepared for high seas as Rare predicts. They'll find that the fun experience they've been having for hundreds of hours in the vacuum that is safer seas will be shattered by the brutal reality of the true nature of Sea of Thieves. All of that said, if you never actually plan to switch to high seas for all the extra content, then you have nothing to worry about. The world is yours, and if you're ever ready for the high seas, I've got every single guide you'll ever need. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more Sea of Thieves coverage.